The full specs for the Bambu Lab H2D have been leaked. Stick around and let's check them out. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is a video that I was not planning on making, but holy smokes, we have the full specs have been leaked for the Bambu Lab H2D. So enough of me babbling on, let's take a look at what has been leaked. All right, so we have leaked specs. Now, let me caveat this whole video with saying this is a leak. They're not official, but based on what we can see here, I'm gonna say with probably 80 to 90% certainty, these are the specs that will probably get announced on the 25th. So again, these are leak spec. I don't know where they came from, but when you look at the way that everything is formatted and the amount of information that is here, I would say that it's probably, Bambu probably threw these up on their website. They didn't link to it, but we had some savvy person out there that was able to dig down deep and uncover all of this data. So let's take a look at this. Starting off, we knew it was an FDM printer. We've already seen actually this is a little lower, isn't it? I think we had seen 350, or no, I'm sorry, here we go. So single nozzle 325 by 320 by 325, dual nozzle 300 by 320 by 325, and the total volume for two nozzles 350 by 320 by 325. So as far as the leak specs go, now we have that confirmed. Materials, physical dimensions. This thing's gonna weigh 31 kilograms. That's pretty heavy. The hot end, all metal. Extruder gear, hardened steel. Nozzle material, hardened steel. Max nozzle temperature, 350 degrees. So that's kind of a step up into the, I don't know off the top of my head what the X1E max temperature was, but I know that's higher than your X1C or your P1S or any of those. Supported nozzle diameters, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. Obviously the filament cutter is built in, 1.75 millimeter. That's your standard filament that we mostly use. The extruder motor, Bambu Lab high precision permanent magnet synchronous motor. Now, I don't know if it doesn't, that's not the stepper motor, I don't believe, that they were talking about, but that's the only motor that's mentioned here. Heat bed, flexible steel. It's gonna have a textured PEI plate. It supports both textured and smooth, and we have our max heat bed temperature here of 120 degrees Celsius. So again, that is a little bit higher than what we've seen on some of the other units. Tool head max speed. So in my last video, I said, hey, what if this thing's twice as fast as a Bambu X1 Carbon? Well, there you go. We're looking at 1,000 millimeters per second. It is not the fastest. Many of you pointed that out in my last video. I think FL Sun has a printer that currently its max speed is 1,200 millimeters per second. So not the fastest one out there. We're gonna have to see how this thing performs. Tool head max acceleration, 20,000 millimeters per second. And the hot end max flow rate is 40 millimeters cubed per second. So higher than the X1 Carbon, but not, it's not a crazy level. I think that FL Sun, they claim over like 100 millimeters cubed per second, but I've also seen tests where they said that it maxed out at like 40 or 45. All right, chamber temperature control. Active heating is supported. Max temperature is 65 degrees. We've got a bunch of information here about the air purification, bunch of different cooling fans. So part cooling fan, the cooling fan for the hot end, the main control board has a cooling fan, the chamber has an exhaust fan, there's a heat circulation fan, and then an auxiliary part cooling fan, and then it looks like closed loop control for all of these various fans. Now, this is interesting. Our supported filament types, you'll notice the words that they choose here. So our normal run-of-the-mill PLA, PETG, TPU, PVA, I don't even know what BVOH is, but these are listed as optimal. But when we get into our kind of those, engineering, those higher temperature, higher strength, ABS, ASA, PET, superior. So I would say that is above optimal. And then carbon/glass fiber reinforced, PLA, PETC, PC, ABS, ASA, also superior. And then when you get into some of these other probably more exotics, your PPA, carbon fiber, glass fiber, glass fiber, those are listed as ideal. So Again, a little more directed to the engineering. Now look at these cameras, holy cow. Live view camera, we got a 1080p camera. A nozzle camera, never seen one of those, also 1080p. A bird's eye camera looks like 4K. A tool head camera, also 1080p. And then we got a bunch of sensors, door sensor, filament runout, tangle, odometry, which we've had before when you use the AMS, and then power loss recovery supported. Pretty hefty electrical requirements. For those of you that run on 220, you're looking at 2200 watts. And here in the US, 110, it's 1320 watts is the max power. So kind of pushing the limit of your standard 15 amp circuit breaker. And then there's your average powers at 10,050 watts. For the electronics, the touchscreen, 5-inch, 1280 by 720p. Storage, built-in 8 gigabytes eMMC. So I'm guessing it's not going to have the SD card, which probably is good, because I know on my P1S just recently I had a couple of print failures. The printer actually paused, and I don't even think I got a handy notification. I just happened to notice that it stopped, and when I looked on the screen it said that there was a micro SD card failure or something, and I ended up having to replace it in order to get my prints to run again. It happened twice on me. Anyway, control interface, touchscreen, mobile app, PC app, dual core, Cortex M4, blah, 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 quad core, ARM A7 is your controller, a neural processing unit. Okay, I'm not sure, maybe that's for the AI, like, spaghetti detection or something. Software, slicer, Bambu Studio, supports third-party slicers, e.g. Cura Prusa slicer. Some advanced features may not work on third-party. So again, we really don't know. I don't know if this is up to date or what, because all the latest stuff leads us to believe that it's not going to be terribly open to using other things. And we're going to come back to that in a minute here. Windows, Mac, network control, Ethernet, not available. So they still haven't put an RJ45 on this thing, which is weird because so many printers do. And if you're using this in a manufacturing environment, Wi-Fi may not be available. So that's kind of an odd decision. Wireless network, it just says Wi-Fi, network kill switch not available, removable network module not available, 802.1x network access control not available. All right, there's our operating frequencies for our Wi-Fi, 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, 802.11 ABG and N. Now, there's the laser. 10 watt laser module, 455 nanometers, blue light, so that's very common in your diode lasers. Let's see, height measuring laser, 850 nanometers, infrared, so it can tell, probably for focusing the distance optically, or yeah. Laser power, 10 watts plus or minus a watt. There's our laser spot dimension, which is pretty average. Working temperature, max engraving speed, 400 millimeters per second. That is kind of an average value for, it doesn't really benefit you to go too fast when you've only got a 10 watt laser module. So there are diode lasers that run faster than that are higher powered, but not bad, but also not, jaw-dropping. Max cutting thickness, 5 millimeters for basswood plywood, which is a very soft, think almost like balsa wood. Class 4 laser for the module itself, meaning you'd need eye protection. Overall laser safety class is class 1, so once it's enclosed and you've got that, like the green door that's been talked about, now you have a class 1 laser. So, engraving area, 310 by 270 millimeters. I do not know. Let me just show you, for those of you that are in the US like me, that right there, about 12 inches, roughly. 250.4 would be 10 inches. So yeah, it's about 12 inches. So just a little bit, 12 inches by 12, about the size of your build bed, So not a lot of room for engraving. Processing height range, 0 to 280. Obviously the laser module is probably taller or longer than the 3D printing head, so you're going to give up some Z height there as far as what you can put in there. XY positioning method visual, so probably using like that bird's eye camera or one of the cameras to, if you put something down on the bed, it can position, put your engraving on whatever it is you want to engrave. Some XY positioning accuracy, Z height measuring method, micro lidar. So This is the only place we see LiDAR mentioned, and I don't know, that little module that I talked about in the last one, it's always been LiDAR, so that's light, distance, and ranging is what LiDAR stands for. So that could be that 850 nanometer infrared module that they were talking about before. Bunch of detection, flame detection supported, so that's good. Temperature detection supported, door sensor, laser module installation detection, engraving time lapse, safety key, air pump built in. We'll also talk a little bit more about that. 30 liters per minute, and a ventilation pipe diameter, so 100 millimeter pipe diameter, so about a 4-inch, 4-inch diameter hose that's going to go on this to get your fumes out of it. Supported material type: wood, rubber, metal, sheet, leather, dark acrylic, stone, and more. Now, this is new. 40-watt laser module, also blue, still has the height measuring laser, 40 watts plus or minus 2 watts. Max engraving speed, 1000 millimeters per second. That's pretty fast for a laser engraver. Again, that's going to be your max speed. Most of the time you very rarely hit those speeds because unless you're doing a straight line that's really long, you're probably never going to get up to that speed, and once you do, you have to start decelerating before the laser module, changes direction. Max cutting thickness, 15 millimeters, basswood plywood. We already talked about the class. Engraving area is about the same, and kind of all the same information here. And then we have the cutting module. So I did not even clue into this. I think when I made my video, there was another, I think I said that maybe that yellow thing on top was a tape measure because there was all sorts of stuff on top of that picture. But somebody had made the mention that it could be a cutting module, and so here we have it. So we have 300 by 285 for cutting, 300 by 255 for drawing. So if you're not familiar, like I have a Graphtec vinyl cutter, and you can put little pens in there, like an old school drafting plotter. Again, I don't know why they're doing this. We'll probably talk about that more in another video. I don't think anybody has ever asked for their 3D printer to cut vinyl. You can spend $99 and buy a Cricut and do the same thing and have another machine that's totally dedicated to it. But anyway, so we have this cutting mat, light grip, strong grip, blade type, a bunch of stuff here. It'll do bitmap, vector images, and supported material, paper, vinyl, leather, and more, up to 0.5 millimeter thick. So those are the main specs that we have now seen that have been leaked. So a lot of interesting stuff, but we're gonna bear with me for a couple more minutes because we're gonna look at a bunch of these notes here. Frequently asked questions. And again, this is why I think, nobody's gonna sit down and fakely generate this much information and then make their own FAQ. That's just crazy. So I think this lends to the credibility of this information. Can H2D be upgraded to HD2 Laser Edition? Yes, we plan to launch a laser upgrade kit for the non-laser version of H2D. So apparently you will be able to, if you just want the printer, you can just buy the printer. If you want the edition that's going to have the laser and probably the cutter, that is going to be obviously more expensive, but a lot of the stuff will be built in. This kit will include installation and instructional videos to assist users. However, note that the upgrade kit features an external air pump which differs from the built-in air pump of the full combo. The external pump must be installed separately and connected via an air tube. The H2D laser full combo includes built-in air and pipe systems and pre-installed bird's eye camera, laser protected doors, and a laser module with accessories like a cutting module, smoke exhaust pipe, adapter, and emergency stop button. So that picture we saw was probably kind of a hybrid between the two, because if you remember, the emergency stop button was separate. It wasn't built in. There were pipes running to the back, which was probably to the, the air assist pump, although it did have the doors on it already. So there's going to be at least those two versions. Are the left and right hot ends identical? Yes, both hot ends are identical in structure and materials, allowing them to be used interchangeably. What is the maximum number of AMS2 Pro and AMS? So again, now we are seeing the first leaked video or leaked picture that had the smaller AMS that was sitting on top that didn't quite fit the whole width and didn't have the filament dryer in it. I think that's the AMS2 Pro. And then the latest picture that we've seen, you saw HT on there. Let's see, how many colors can it print at most? The H2D supports up to 4 AMS2 Pro and 8 AMS HT units, totaling 12 units with 24 slots. Since the H2D is a dual hot end printer, it can theoretically support up to 25 colors if all AMS units are connected to one hot end, while the other hot end uses an external spool holder. So, I mean, apparently we're going to be able to connect 25 colors to this thing if you want to. I can only imagine the amount of, extraction. So yeah, anyway. Is the H2D compatible with the first generation AMS? Yes, the first generation AMS is fully plug and play compatible with the H2D for multicolor printing, but does not support AMS drying. However, due to the differences in feeding mechanism and buffering structure, the H2D does not support the AMS Lite. What are the two 4-pin ports on the back of the printer used for? These ports are reserved for future expansion accessories. For example, one of them can be used to connect to an external air pump when upgrading a non-laser version of the printer to the laser version. Can the A1 series hot end, can I use the A1 series hot end on the H2D? Can H2D hot ends be used on A1 series printers? While similar H2D hot ends are specifically designed for optimum compatibility with H2D printers, they support a higher maximum volumetric flow rate, lower clogging risk, more precise nozzle offset calibration, and automatic hot end type recognition via the live camera. Using an A1 hot end on an H2D printer is not recommended. However, H2D hot ends can be used on A1 printers if paired with the H2D hot end silicone sock. So, good information for those of us that have an A1. What are the differences between the 10 watt and the 40 watt laser modules? Both modules use blue light lasers and can process materials like wood, rubber, metal sheets, leather, dark acrylic, which is just a physical limitation of blue wavelength diode lasers. They can't cut clear, they can't do lighter color acrylic because the wavelength just passes right through it. Differences include cutting thickness. Basswood plywood, 10 watts is 5 millimeters, 40 watt is 15 millimeters. Engraving speed, we've already talked about 400 versus 1,000. Processing area, so it looks like you lose 20 millimeters and a couple millimeters in height between the two. Is USB included as standard? What functions are affected without a USB? No, a USB is not included. The printer has built-in storage for printing, but without USB, the following functions are affected. No recording or time-lapse photography. That's a little weird, so you gotta stick in your own USB thumb drive to do time-lapse. Printing cannot be initiated via LAN. Again, why? Print files cannot be stored through Studio, and log files cannot be exported. USB requirements, USB 2.0, and then there's a thing about, whether you can select hot ends for, stored files. So there you have it. Sorry if you hate people reading to you, but I figure some people just like to listen to videos and they don't necessarily want to read all this. I will put a link to this in the description of the video. I can't promise you that this won't get taken down at some point, but it is the 21st. All of this should be revealed for real on the 25th. We still have a couple more days worth. I think there's 3 more days that they are going to drop pictures. I will still plan on making some videos with that, but at least now when they tease us with a picture, I'll be able to hopefully speak a little more intelligently on what it is that we're looking at and whether or not it jives with what we see here on this leak. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Is this all crazy? I don't know that anybody has asked for a 3D printer to do all of these things. We have seen other things, like the Snapmaker that do CNC, laser, and 3D printing. Not well, I would say, of all three. And there's a few other that have combined things. Xtool makes the M1, which is made for crafters, and that one is a laser, a cutter, and a printer. It uses like inkjet nozzles to print on stuff. But again, I don't know why they've added all this stuff, but tell me what you think. Are you excited about this still? Are you like, yay, I don't have to buy all the laser stuff and the cutter stuff. I can just buy a faster printer. I'm ready to spend my money. Or does all of this stuff excite you? Let me know, drop a comment. But as always, I appreciate the time that we get to spend together. And thank you so much for those of you that have subscribed. We are now, I gained like 150 subscribers since yesterday, so we are now well over 3,000. So yay, little, confetti and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just want to keep growing with you. But if you haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment to hit the like button, hit the little bell, and hit the subscribe button so that you can follow along on this fun journey. We don't only talk about 3D printers. Obviously, that's kind of the big thing now, but I've got more videos coming. I'm still working on another diode laser review. I've got a great table, a motorized desk that FlexiSpot sent me. So if you're interested in that, that video is going to be coming out. It should drop on the 25th, same day as the Bambu Lab H2D. And there's all sorts of other stuff that's coming along into the channel. So thank you for spending time with me. As always, let's just keep on learning, burning, printing, and growing together. Take care, everyone.